How's it going, guys? Yu-Gi-Oh! Overdrive here, coming at you with a video that I haven't done in a very long time, deck profile. This is going to be my deck profile for the post-September 2013. This is what I hope to play at regionals in Seattle, and then again at YCS San Mateo. I hope to be going to that. I'm going to be attending that hopefully with, T.R. Bailey, Timothy Bailey, Team Trendsetters, a couple of my friends from the shop that I go to. But yeah, I'll go ahead and jump right into it. This is my explanation of why Tin Gadgets is ultimately going to be one of the better decks in the format. But I'll start with the deck. It goes, 3 of each gadget. You got the gadget stoplight. 1 of the gear frames. He's really good just as a second searcher if you can make your gear Gigant X last 1 turn. Your first search obviously being the Tin Goldfish. This just sets up plays so that you can play one of the 3 Machina Fortress that I have in here. This makes playing Redox, that much better. You can make the rank 7 exceeds being Dragosack and Big Eye. He is just such a beating. You can attack into Ophion if you can get him out, take minimal damage. Pop a card, pop Ophion, pop one of their back rows, just get rid of problem cards. He also deals with really big guys. Shining is a problem. You can crash into Ab-Zero if he's the only card on board, pop one of their cards, lose no value. He's just such a power card. In a format like this where it's going to be slow, all decks need their power players, and Machina Fortress is definitely one of those power players in this deck. Then obviously the 3x Tin Goldfish. 2 Max Seas. This is in there just out of necessity. It's an Earth monster, so Redox is still viable. But there's going to be those decks that are just going to be able to explode on their turns. Insectors are going to be able to do that. Windups are going to be able to do that. What else? Dark World maybe. So it's not that bad of an idea to play. I know this is a slower format, but I think Maxi, just overall good card. 2 Redox. Monster Reborn is no longer a card. Redox still is. This is good. All you really need is a Max C in the yard. A Max C is bare enough, even a gadget, but you just ditch this and one other card. You can special summon itself. You can special summon a gadget. You can search for a gadget that you special summoned. You can special summon Machina Fortress, Tin Goldfish, Neospacing Granmole. It just makes making plays that much easier, and it just sets up your turns. Even if your first turn is, summon gadget, set 3, pass, you have Redox and gadget in hand. You can summon your gadget next turn, and then ditch Redox and the other gadget, special summon that gadget, and you just have endless amount of plays with Redox. He is just one of those cards that you have to play, I think. And then, the 1x Granmole, good with dealing with troublesome cards like Zen Mains. Maestroke is a problem. Heroes are probably going to be a deck, honestly. I don't see people stopping playing those. So Shining is going to be a card to deal with. This gets rid of really big guys like Acid Golems and maybe dealing with Light Pulsar Dragons and maybe Red MDs and the such. It just gets rid of problem cards. 3 MSTs, which is a card that must. I feel like 3 MST is a must. Wind Up Factory is a card. Black Whirlwind is a card now. There's going to be people playing plenty of back row in a format like this. Heavy Storm being gone and all, people are no longer afraid to set their hands, and especially playing against heroes, where they will not be afraid to set their entire hands, play Alias, and then Special Bubble Man. This is just going to be your out to whatever they set. 2 double summons. I don't like playing 3. 3 is really cloggy. It's really bad, actually, in my opinion, to play 3 double summons. But opening up double summon Goldfish and a gadget is probably like the best opening hand that this deck can have. Opening, double summon Goldfish gadget and 3 cards to set is probably the single best play that this deck can make first turn. And this even works, if you don't have a Goldfish, you can go gadget, double summon, make Gear X, fetch the Goldfish that you're going to make next turn. Double summon, just good 2 of, perfect card for the deck. Book of Moon, I feel, is a staple now. Double X, Pot of Duality instead of 3. 3 kind of nulls the deck because when they can go off, this deck can go off, and you don't want Pot of Duality to have to, hinder that. And you're searching for just about everything that you're going to need with, you're searching engines. Max C is in here. Body Body is just a good kind of, I guess, if your first turn is going to be Summon Gadget, set 3, you can do duality into more protection. Ov's Dark Hole. Goldsark, since it is all one of now, I decided to test it out. It doesn't seem to be working too bad. First turn, if I open Goldsark, I'm usually going to Goldsark for the Dark Hole. But if I already have Dark Hole, or if I don't see that as being the best play, I'll just Goldsark into Redox, get Redox to my hand so that I have my Monster Reborn for next turn, and then I have a Monster Reborn turn after that. So I just set up my plays with this Goldsark. And then double X Forbidden Lance, because protecting Gear X is the most essential thing that you need to do. Because the more searches you can get off Gear X, the more plus you're going to have, the more advantage you're going to have. And in a format where, Compulse is a card, Torrential is a card, Mirror Force card, Bottomless, Fiendish Chain, all these cards that are going to stop it, that's going to just run it over, not bad. And then you can also use this if someone goes first turn Thunder King, or just summons Thunder King, because Thunder King is an absolute beating in this against this deck. It will lose to any of the gadgets. A Thunder King will lose to any gadget if it gets lanced. Alright, so that's the spells. Traps is just a few of the staples, Compulse to 1, just like Grand Mole, it deals with problem cards. Warning, just makes sure that you're going to protect everything you have and stop your opponent from going off. Torrential, this deck doesn't worry too much about losing cards on board, because as long as you have a Goldfish and a gadget, your plays are always going to be live. You're always going to have things you can do regardless of monsters you have on board. And it clears your opponent's board, keeps you from losing, essentially. Torrential is not a bad card to play. And I have noticed, I'll open up Goldfish Gadget, Torrential, make Gear X, and not care. I'll just blow up my Gear X and then stop whatever my opponent does. Double Mirror Force. Like I said, you got to protect that gadget, you got to protect that Gear X. This doesn't hurt to play. And, not losing is essentially probably one of the better things you can do in the game. Single Bottomless as a staple now. Double Fiendish Chain. You got to protect the gadgets, you got to protect the Gear X, you got to stop things from beating you. Things like Thunder King, what else? You can stop searches, you can stop trigger effects, tour guides, leviers, things that would essentially just blow you out of the water. Fiendish Chain, I think, is a necessity that almost all decks are going to be playing now. And the single X Dust Tornado, you're going to see so many sets, and Heavy Storm being gone, you have to play enough as much removal as you can without having, too much. That's why I only have 1 tornado on the board. You have 4 removal cards that can deal with your opponent's back row, and this card ultimately makes cards like Spellbook Tower miss its timing. So long as you have a spell trap in your hand that you can set, it'll make it miss timing. It's pretty good. Overall, not a bad one of. Go to the sideboard is single Thunder King. There's no reason not to side a single Thunder King. It's got good matchups, obviously, Spellbooks, Dark Worlds, the like, Wind-Ups, Black Wings. Just a good card to side in against a lot of matchups. Banisher, since Macro, Defissure, and Soul Drain are all gone, this is a good card to create board presence and have the same overall effect. You're going to have plenty of cards to protect it, so there's no reason not to play it, and it will shut down a lot of decks. Spellbooks are hurt by this, Dark Worlds are hurt by this, Insectors are hurt by this, Wind-Ups are kind of hurt by this. It does a lot, and it's an overall not that bad of a card. And this side deck is where most of the changes are gonna happen, I feel like, before the regional in September. There's a lot of room for improvement in this, but this is just what I have right now. 2 Cyber Dragons, because Geargias are apparently, and Car Courier are apparently going to be good now. This is just one of those cards that combats their OTKs. They set up, you Cyber Dragon into your Chimera Tech, and you just, stop them from winning. Good card, good utility card. Droll and Lock, Spellbooks are still decks. This is going to be a good card to side in against them. It's going to be a good card to side in against Dark Worlds. Those are the only 2 real decks that I can think of that would do it. So it may or may not come out. I may find a card that is better suited for those matchups. Like, Dark Worlds can be Shadow Imprisoning. And then there's all sorts of other stuff that I'm sure I can find. But until such a time that it proves otherwise, Droll Lockbird is a nice card to keep in there. Effect Veiler for just the matchups that you'll need it in. Windups, Inzectors, Geargia, Karkuri. I would main it, but it's not an Earth, so it kind of throws off the synergy. It's just one of those cards I don't feel I need in the main, but it's a definite sideboard card. Kaiku is still good. Dark Worlds still get hurt by this card. Spellbooks still get hurt by this card. The Plant Dragon Ruler deck still gets hurt. So it's definitely a good card to play. Still a good card in my opinion. One deck dev for the decks that this is applicable to, Windups, Inzectors, and the such. I guess you could deck Devi Spellbooks to try and hit the Blue Ranger, but that's kind of lackluster. And there's only a handful of matchups I can see as being good in, so maybe one of the cards that I take out. Eradicator is still very good. Spellbooks are still a deck. This hits Spellbooks. This hits Dark Worlds. This hits any deck that needs to be eradicated. Starlight Road is a card in here now. Malcat, it may see some play. Delta Crow, Anti-Reverse will see play in Blackwings. Icarus Attack is a card, so this is definitely one of those cards that is a good sideboard card against those matchups, but not good enough to be mained with Heavy being gone and Dark Hole being at 1. And the last card is the second Dust Tornado for decks that are very spell and trap heavy. You got your heroes, and a lot of the decks are going to be playing staple traps. Good removal, good card to play. Going into the extra is one Diamond Dyer. This one I won't explain too much. A lot of the cards will explain themselves. Good removal card. Daigusto Emerald. This is one of the better cards in the extra deck. This will always keep the gadgets live, the gadget searching engine live. It will also feed back your Goldfishes and your Maxies, and it just lets you draw one more and gives you even more hand advantage. Level Chain is another really good one. Sets up your Redox Machina Fortress rank 7 plays. Can also stack a Goldfish to the top of your deck and is an overall really good utility. Gaga Cowboy pretty much steals games. Everyone knows why you play Gaga Cowboy. Maestroke is another really good card to play in just about every extra deck. There's no reason not to play it. Utopia, just another utility. He might be cut if I can find something better, but until such a time that I do, Utopia is just good to kind of try and hold the fort and hold on to the game for you. Dweller, because Mermails are a deck still, and the E-Dragon, the Plant Ruler Dragons, is still a deck. So this is going to be one of those good cards to see play in this format. Papal Operative, just another utility. There's better ones that I'm sure I could find if I had if I really took the time. I might play Corn over this. I might play Gemini Pearl over this, but until such a time that they prove to be better, I'll just keep Papal Operative in there. The utility card of the whole extra deck, Geargigon X, 2 of them. Obviously, this is going to be your first turn play. Goldfish Gadget, make Gear X, get another Goldfish. This just keeps your plays rolling. This is what is going to be. This card might actually see a spike in value if this deck proves to be one of the top decks in the format. One Dracosack and one Big Eye. You make your rank 7 plays very near and far between, but these are definitely good cards to keep in the board if you can make them, and if if that play shows to be the best. I make Dracosack way more than I make Big Eye, but I'm sure there will come a time where Big Eye will see its play. Dracosack will see its play. Both good cards, both need to be in the next deck. One Crazy Box, the Deck Devi and the Eradicator target, as well as Big Eye. This is just an overall utility. I think this card will see a lot of play in a lot of decks, actually. Obviously, it counts on chance a lot to get its effects off, but, when you've got 4 out of 6 effects being good, one being bad, the other one being worse, I think that you can count on chance just this once, but I definitely like Crazy Box. Chimera Tech, because you play the Cyber Dragons, and then Stardust, because you can Synchro if you side in the Veilers, and you can make Stardust if you play the Road. So definitely good extra deck card to keep in there, just very situationally. Alright, and now I will give my opinion on why I think that this deck is going to show that it is one of the better decks in the format like this. And just overall, you saw this deck topping nationals all over the world. I think it got 4th at the Dutch. Oh, that sucks. I'll just go ahead and reload. But yeah, I got 4th at the Dutch regionals, or nationals actually. Go ahead and sign back in here. Yep, it got 4th. It's just an overall really good deck. But what I think the reason why this deck is going to ultimately be really good is that its first turn plays never, ever go negative. You know, even if your play is, like I said, gadget, double summon into another gadget, you still get 2 cards back off of your double summons, and you can make Gear X, get another card, and that way you're just back to where you started. You know, you got 2 cards in the yard, 2 or 3 on board, 2 or 3 in hand. You know, you're never going negative. This deck's turns is always a +1. Summon gadget into gadget is just a +1. Duality into gadget is just a +1. You never ever lose value on your turns. Until you're extending out to go game, your turns are never going negative. But that's just my opinion, guys. I hope that this is kind of informational, informal. I don't know the word for it. Doesn't really matter. I hope this kind of explains why I think this deck is really good. I hope this kind of gives you some insight for yourself, and I hope that you all enjoyed it. Give me your feedback. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you all on the flip side.